Toy Chat is not a children's channel. This video is intended for adult gift givers and collectors. Hey guys, welcome to Toy Chat. This is Max.
And Sang.
So, it is the holiday season right now, and Sang and I have reviewed so many things, and we've had our Integrity Toys convention coverage, we've reviewed a lot of Playline dolls, and at this point, we have reviewed every mainline Rainbow High doll on the market, with the exception of collector doll Jett Dawson and the 24-inch, I think she's 24 inches, either 24 or 25, giant Maya. And, she's been out for such a long time at this point. Everyone and their mother has reviewed her and seen her and discussed her. But what we're gonna do today is we are gonna have a little bit of a conversation in general about collector dolls, specifically the deluxe, pricier releases from some of our favorite doll brands, ranging from Rainbow High, L.O.L Surprise, Monster High, Mattel, MGA. I think we're in kind of an interesting time right now where the Playline world and the collector world are blurring and kind of wavering between two different lines, especially with the huge success of Rainbow High, which I think definitely brings a lot to the table for both younger kids, children, and also really adult collectors. So we are going to discuss today kind of some different things and what we want to see and some things that we think can bring success to these collector doll releases from these brands. And when we say collector dolls, specifically like deluxe releases like Miss Jett Dawson here, and there's been multiple collector dolls from L.O.L Surprise OMG. At this point, we're going to be overviewing Miss New Year's Eve Queen a little bit as well, and obviously, of course, the Monster High Skullector dolls, which there was another Monster High Skullector doll that came out recently that Sang and I were not able to buy, and we'll get into that. But in this video, we're also going to give kind of just a bit of a general overview review of Miss Jett as well, because we never got a chance to review her. Probably not really going to be like a super ultra in-depth review. It's going to be a little bit more of an overview summary while we just have this discussion. If we have time at the end of the video, we might also take a moment to kind of address what's next, for some of these major brands. I know, obviously if you guys watched our recent review of the Slumber Party dolls from Rainbow High, we did address that Rainbow High has revealed the Pacific Coast line, and we've seen all the characters, presumably all the characters that are going to be in that. So maybe we'll take a moment to, discuss some of our thoughts on that as well.
So OMGs have been releasing these deluxe dolls for several years now, huh? The first one being
Crystal Star.
Yes, which Max got and we reviewed.
No, we didn't.
We didn't review them? No?
No, actually, fun fact, she actually came out at the peak of the Copa situation. We thought we wouldn't really be able to do Playline stuff. I did a little mini Instagram.
Oh, maybe that's what I remember.
Unboxing of her, yeah.
Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the windows in the rain is pouring.
Yeah, she's really cute. So they have been releasing these guys for several years now. So I think they might be one of the first Playline companies to release a deluxe doll that's considered a collector doll.
I'm sure L.O.L Surprise is not the first Playline brand ever to have a collector release. We're kind of talking
Barbie
about,
has been doing for years.
They have.
Yes.
You know what though? The price point is really different though, because most of the holiday Barbie and stuff like that, they don't tend to reach into the $50+ range usually.
Not in toy shelves.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be kind of an interesting part of this conversation too, is that, we have these higher price point dolls that are popping up more often in just on store shelves, for Playline collectors and parents to just, see out on display. And yeah, New Year's Eve Queen is the most recent one to be released by L.O.L Surprise. Perfect for the season, although she came out initially, quite a while ago. But we do have her here. We're not going to be unboxing her in this video, but so this, I believe, if I recall correctly, I think this is the third major L.O.L Surprise OMG collector doll. Yeah, the first one was Crystal Star. The second one was part of the remix line, Jukebox Phoebe. We did not pick her up, but she was like Elvis inspired, and this one is, of course, you know, New Year's Eve themed. And she, we believe, is priced at $49.99, so she's $50, and you can pick her up in, you know, Target, Walmart. And she's pretty lovely. The interesting thing about these collector dolls is the fact that they really seem intended for display, because these ones in Crystal Star was the same, you know, they have, same with Jukebox BB, they have like this really cute like display stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, where there's like this huge sculpted moon with a cute little like geometric pattern on it. It lights up, and you know, I think that's kind of a key component of what I would be looking for in these type of collector releases, is where, and I think really it's kind of a signature thing of collectors in general, like you have the option of keeping it in box if you want, and it still looks really nice. I mean, I think that applies to things like, you know, Disney designer dolls. You can unbox them if you want, but they look very, very nice in box. And I think that's something that kind of separates collector dolls from like playline dolls as well. There's some playline dolls that look nice in box, but these ones, like, you can just, you know, buy them and put them on your shelf as is, and they look lovely. I'm going to be interested to see what other types of collector dolls L.O.L surprise releases. I would love to see even more like really seasonal kind of holiday thematic collector dolls. L.O.L surprise, I think, is really good at just thematic releases in general, and this one, you know, is, of course, she's like all about New Year's Eve, and I would, you know, I think it would be really cool to see a collector, yeah, like Christmas or Lunar New Year or Halloween or just, you know, anything like that. There's a lot of possibilities, but she's pretty nice overall.
I like her cape.
Yeah, her cape is very interesting.
I guess it's not a cape, it's a jacket.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You like from afar, and in promos and stuff, I was assuming it's white, but it's actually not. It's like a very, very pale pink when you see it in person.
I think there's like a jacket similar on an IT doll too, on the Meteor doll, the one that we didn't pick up.
The one that looks like Cardi B.
Yes.
Yeah, she had a cute little jacket.
Yeah,
as
where it's
well.
like sectioned off by little areas. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of poses an interesting question too, is like how you feel about if you potentially are purchasing these items for a child, you know, or someone very young, you know, how do you feel about these types of releases on the shelf? Like, you know, it's like the fact that it's so display oriented and that it would really appeal to adult collectors, but it does have that higher price point of like, it's like $50.
I think for me, if I was a parent or a gift giver, I think if a child asked me that they want New Year's Eve Queen, I think personally I might have an issue being able to purchase this for a child. Again, L.O.L OMGs are geared towards children. Same thing with Rainbow High, where, you know, if a child asks me, I want this doll, and then I find out as a parent or someone who's not familiar with this brand that this is $50, I think I might have second thoughts on buying something so expensive for a child. So I think there's that hurdle you have to think about when purchasing these dolls. Is these are technically playline dolls, but they don't have playline prices.
I think MGA is straddling that line a little bit in general. It's interesting too, because we'll get maybe more into this with Rainbow High, but I've seen a lot of people comment on our channel as well that they flat out just think they're like Rainbow High is totally like catering to older collectors. They're like, we don't feel like these are for really young kids, you know, just the price points are higher, everything has like the high fashion inspiration. We'll get even maybe a little bit more into that with Jett Dawson, but yeah, it's kind of a lot to think about, and obviously, yeah, committing to that kind of expense. So we're kind of curious what you guys think. Like, yeah, if you have younger people in your life, you know, or buying something for a niece or nephew, son or daughter, anything like that, you know, how do you feel when they ask for stuff like this? And I mean, that's also kind of a loaded question, because some of the huge play sets, like the doll houses and stuff like that are clearly more so catered to, you know, the really young child audience. Those are super expensive as well.
I think that's different though, because I feel like those, you know what you're getting into. Like if you're gonna buy a playset, you know you're gonna have to pay a little bit extra. But like if a child shows you a picture of her like this, you would think she would be around playline prices, around other prices, whatever OMG prices are right now.
Yeah.
And then when you go in stores and you look at her, you might not even think she might be $50. You might think she's 30. She just has in a clear case. I mean, there's nothing coherently saying here like this is a collector's doll. This is just an OMG doll.
Well, it does. At the very bottom it says collector edition.
Well, collector edition.
It's collector edition, pretty much. Yeah. But I mean, that's the interesting thing too about these being on store shelves. And I wasn't even initially sure because I know we've discussed a bit. We reviewed the 2021 comeback Bratz, and I wasn't even sure whether or not those would pop up at all on store shelves because they seem to be pivoting a bit to catering much more towards adult collectors, which they've even like explicitly said on their Instagram recently. But stuff like this, obviously when it just appears on Target and Walmart and wherever else shelves, kids are just gonna see it in the aisle. And they're gonna be like, oh, I like that. Like, that's a brand I like. It's super cute. And then you have that big difference in price points, you know. But of course, that's much a bigger conversation, I'm sure. The struggle of being a parent and affording, you know, toys and all those kind of things in general. I think it's really awesome to have the option for stuff like this, you know, for sure.
I think when you put these in store shelves, there's always that temptation that you're putting out for little kids to see. And I think that could affect buying your child toys like that. Is like the temptation is there, and if you're willing to pay for luxe price for these for your children or a family member.
You know, I think kind of a fascinating contrast to that is the direction Monster High has taken with their collector dolls, because so on one side of the spectrum you have, you know, these collector dolls at higher price points that are just on retailer shelves and, you know, in the playline aisle, as where Monster High, you know, which of course we've discussed, you know, many times on our channel, which was at one time completely a playline brand, you know, once upon a time, you know, and they are, you know, the comeback is coming, it's rapidly approaching, and I'm gonna be very curious to see what that's gonna look like in modern day toy aisles, especially just where Mattel's at as a company and where MGA's at as a company and the competition there. But for the Skullector dolls specifically, they are very clearly targeting adult collectors. So for these collector dolls, they're like online only, limited edition. You know, I mean, I think in some like international markets, maybe some of the Skullector dolls appeared on shelves. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I know they were available. Well, the first ones anyway, Pennywise and the Grady Twins, they were available on Amazon as well as, you know, Mattel Creations website, but they're essentially limited online exclusives. So at that point, and they also have very mature themes. I would say, however, obviously the aesthetic of these dolls, which by the way, if you guys want a full, you know, head to toe in-depth review of the Beetlejuice Skullector dolls, we did review those. I'll link it in the description below. So they're just kind of out, just, you know. Oh, they're actually, okay, they look okay. They're just loose in there, but it's interesting because like some of these Skullector dolls, you know, Beetlejuice isn't the most like horribly mature, you know, thing in the world. It and The Shining very much so are, you know, they were rated R, but I think for these releases, it's more the company explicitly catering their collector dolls or these collector dolls to adults. The aesthetic though, if you were to give these dolls to like a kid, they're not offensive at all. I mean, they would fit right in most cases with like the other playline Monster High dolls.
Yeah, the Monster High is definitely catering towards existing Monster High fans. The only advertisement for these are on Mattel's social media and their website. So that's strictly where these are advertised at. The average child who's not familiar with Monster High would not ask for this. There's that obstacle in terms of a kid seeing this and being like, I want that. And these are definitely much more luxe pricing than OMG and Rainbow High are currently at.
I mean, I think if this was on a store shelf and a kid said they wanted it and their parents were like, these are $90? What?
It's definitely two sides of a spectrum in terms of collector dolls. You got things that are very exclusive, generally speaking, one print, one time release of these, and something that's available on store shelves until they disappear.
Well, I think that's another interesting component as well, and I think that's, you know, we've discussed it a little bit before on our channel, is like that's an element of appeal and incentive to collectors are things that are limited edition or limited count. Collectors always feel like that's going to be kind of something special, as where the Playline collector dolls, they might be limited print, although I don't know, MGA doesn't really seem to have been doing that. Like, even I remember Crystal Star like temporarily was out of print, but then they re-released her and she started becoming available again. As where the Skullector dolls, it seems like they are intended as like limited run releases, which, by the way, speaking of which, there was a whole other Skullector doll released really recently that we were not expecting. It was just a total bomb drop. It actually wasn't even that long after we reviewed the Beetlejuice ones, based on Gremlins, specifically Gremlins 2, The Bad Batch, because it is Greta Gremlin, female Gremlin, and she's cute. We personally have not seen her in person because we were not able to buy her. Completely just didn't remember to buy her when she dropped. I personally don't have as much of an attachment and affinity to Gremlins as much as I do, you know, to Stephen King properties and Beetlejuice. I think there's just way more nostalgia there for me. But that's another aspect of this stuff, is I think they're really catering to like that nostalgia factor, which again, catering directly to, you know, older collectors, which I think MGA kind of incorporates into their releases because they have, you know, like throwbacks to the 80s. I mean, I appreciate when they do that because it's almost kind of like a family-friendly film. It's like there's little things there for adults to notice or appreciate, you know, even if they're not necessarily like the reason for purchase.
So in the middle of that spectrum is Rainbow High. And Jett Dawson is similar to OMG collector dolls, where they are available on store shelves, but there's an aspect of it that is pretty limited, just like the Monster High dolls are. These are available in stores, but there are 1,000 of them that are numbered and that are one-time print. So totally random who gets it. It seems like those particular ones were available only through pre-order, so they weren't the ones that show up in stores.
Like
but they didn't really specify during that period of time where you could pre-order Jett. So not only is it a collector doll, there's an aspect of it that are extremely limited and luck-based.
Which that reminded me a lot of like the kind of stuff Moose Toys has done in the past with their limited edition dolls and Shopkins and stuff like that. Which that to me is a little bit of a nightmare when you introduce a limited edition aspect into Playline aisles. You know what? If any of you found like the numbered edition of Jett Dawson in stores, like sound off in the comments, because yeah, the impression we have is most or all of her numbered edition, which was limited to only 1,000, which you guys is super, super, super low by like Playline distribution standards.
Yeah, so I mean, the only difference between a numbered version and the unnumbered version is the tag on her box will say 1 out of 1,000 or whatever that number is, and there is a number on her dress that correlates to that number on the tag.
Like the clothing tags have the number. Yeah, and it tells you which like count it is within the 1,000.
Besides that, it's completely identical.
It's the same. It's the exact same. And you know what? Yeah, Sang and I hunted for so long and bought Jetts online, and no luck. We did not ever get or find a numbered version.
Which, you know, it is kind of creates this artificial need for the doll. If I were completely real with you, I don't think Jett is my favorite doll. I don't think there's nothing I particularly think she's worthwhile, and I don't think her price justifies what you're getting. So she is $55.99, so it's $56. For $50, you can get the Rockstar dolls, you can get the twins, which I think are a great value compared to Jett. I think Jett's pretty basic. I mean, her dress that she comes with is nice, and she comes with a little bit of accessories, but I think for me, she's very uninspired compared to some of the other dolls.
I think specifically, she does have a lot of detail, and I know she also has the metallic pearlescent, you know, sewing machine. You know, her shoes have real ribbon, and I think these are called mannequin stands. Like the mannequin stand, it's not plastic. It's actually like an iridescent fabric, and it does look really nice. I personally think the price point for her is fair, but I think her design isn't what I would personally want from a collector doll at this price point. And again, I mean, we have to keep in mind that the Rainbow High as a brand has given us so many, you know, really luxe fashion design and pops of color. There's something like monochrome about her. She's colorful, but also very monochrome at the same time. Of course, with, you know, like her hair and everything.
Keep in mind, when Jett came out, we didn't really have $50 price point Rainbow High dolls. She was very luxe. If you ask me, she would have been around the same price as the last collector doll for Rainbow High, which was Amaya, the playset.
Yeah, which was like a deluxe playset doll, pretty much.
How much was...
Yeah. Avery Styles?
Yeah.
She was 50.
She was 50?
I think she was 50.
Okay, so just saying, I mean...
Yeah. A bargain at this... Nowadays, that would feel like... she came with so much.
She came with so much stuff. Compared to Avery Styles, you are not getting quite as much in here as you were with that playset, and those are roughly around the same price. I think there's an artificial desire to own a numbered version that causes her to be higher priced.
Yeah.
I think she's not something I would personally recommend at her standard price point. She's cute. I think I like her hair, the rainbow aspect of it, but I think it's a weird marketing ploy that I feel like I don't agree with. I think having a numbered version, which, you know, like if she's a collector doll, then she should just be a collector doll. Having an artificial count to her, it seems like there's gonna be a lot of like returns on her.
Yeah, I think another point, and this applies to kind of my feelings about collector dolls in general, and I will admit my bias here, there's totally personal taste element, is that I am not the biggest fan in the world of basic or simple or really monochromatic, usually there's exceptions, dolls, especially if they're at higher price points. And I think when I think about collector dolls, I want va-va-voom. I usually want, you know, I mean, New Year's Eve Queen is maybe an example of like the impact that I expect, at least in terms of just like color, variation of fabric, design, concept. The thing that's really interesting about Jett and her design, and I think like her whole theme is she's supposed to kind of represent the like the sketch stage of design, because she has, I mean, you can kind of see it like in her aesthetic, because she has, and that I do think is really cool. Like I almost feel like Jett would have functioned better as like a standard release, because I think her main outfit, it's cool, it's trendy, but there's something subdued. I don't know if I want to say like casual. It's not necessarily casual, but it's not, I don't know. Again, I just expect something kind of like luxe in collector dolls. And she does come with a dress that's luxe. Yeah, I have some opinions on like the fabric layering of this dress. It is a cool dress. It's a pretty dress. It doesn't pair, in my opinion, very well with her hairstyle. I think it would be cooler, like this dress would pair better if she had like mainly red in her hair, or if her hair was styled differently. But I think when you swap her, like this hair, I think pairs nicely with the outfit she's wearing. You visually want to focus on the color pop of her hair because her outfit is very monochromatic. But I think when you have this really flashy dress and then this really like rainbow hair, it doesn't entirely work for me. But I get that it's a value add, and that's, I'm sure, of course, part of what drives the price up. So yeah, I mean, Jett is a really interesting release. I think she's pretty, and I think there are, you know, obviously there have been a lot of people who absolutely love her, and we already know there's gonna be like more from the sound of it, like collector dolls coming from Rainbow High. You know, I definitely hope that we see more of Rainbow High's Va-Va-Voom side when they come out with, you know, more of these pricier collector dolls. And I mean, we've already seen it like in the season 1 finale, you know, their runway looks, and I mean that could of course be its own line. I'm sure it would be a deluxe line and it would be expensive. Again, that's like a personal taste thing. You know, you guys can let us know kind of how you feel about that. Like, you know, do you want, you know, those types of things from your collector dolls? You know, so yeah, I mean, where do you guys stand with the collector dolls? You know, I mean, do you want something really flashy and elegant and look like, you know, like an aesthetic that seems like it's for a special occasion, you know, or are you okay with something monochromatic or casual with just added details or multiple, you know, mix and match pieces and stuff like that? I mean, Rainbow High has also just set like a high standard and kind of a precedent that like all their releases are going to have like alternate outfits and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of made, I don't really want to say judge, but like it sets kind of a precedent and a standard for, you know, the collectors. And I think kind of tracing back to what I said earlier, Rainbow High is in a really interesting position because like as where obviously, yeah, our impression is that it's super popular. I have seen a lot of people say that they think this brand is not necessarily designed with like solely with children in mind, that they really have a lot of luxe details and fashion elements that are like targeting older collectors, and not obviously, when I say older collectors, I mean, you know, people who are not super young kids, which is like, you know, the main core demographic of like Playline Barbies and, you know, L.O.L's price of tots and stuff like that.
And also, I'm very curious what you guys think of the business model of having limited count items, plus that this model of where there is a limited count that is solely for the sake of limited count. So there's really no changes to her outfit, just there's a number printed on there. If it's that artificial limited count is something that's appealing to you as a collector, or would you want something along the line of a color variant or a different outfit, or just a limited count doll?
I'm a big fan of, you know, collector dolls in general, because it does at least send some sort of signal to collectors that a brand is keeping its entire audience in mind, you know, and not just necessarily like the stereotypical target market, which I think is a factor for a lot of media and products, you know, nowadays. So I definitely do appreciate it. You know, let us know the types of things that you guys expect from, you know, these collector releases. Do you want these brands to keep doing it? You know, do you prefer the online only targeted directly to adult collector approach, or do you enjoy kind of like a bit of a middle ground of seeing this stuff in stores? Obviously the plus about that too is you can inspect them for issues, and if you end up having issues with the online stuff, good luck, have fun. Jett overall I think just doesn't completely speak to Sang and I's personal tastes too much, but I do think she is pretty. I'm curious if, you know, we'll ever see her in a repeat appearance, maybe in a different look or different aesthetic. Her eyes are really pretty. I do love her eyes. Oh, something else really quick to bring up about her as well is that she has the unique body sculpt that hasn't been recreated since yet. That she has the additional like upper torso, the bust, like the bust joint, yeah, which is awesome. That's like very heavy articulation for, you know, anything that would fall into the Playline realm. So, you know, I mean, there's some people who've been saying like, oh, well, if you're going to do that on a collector doll, like, why can't you just reuse that sculpt on like all the dolls? The impression I have though is generally like manufacturing costs are increased depending on how many pieces.
Yeah, it's more labor.
Sculpt.
Yeah, it's more labor.
Yeah,
and you know, just additional production issues that can arise from it. Yeah, that's very interesting. They haven't really reused that. I wonder if that's limited for their collector's dolls. So we'll see with their next one if it has the bust articulation. She doesn't really need it per se. She has nothing. I mean, she's totally covered. So
yeah, the thing is, yeah, it's interesting because her outfits, I feel like, would constrain like the bust a bit. So yeah, there's a lot of different interesting elements here. But yeah, we're very, you know, curious to see what you guys have to say. And again, we are holding Rainbow High to Rainbow High standards. You know, the other things they've released so far, we're very well aware that in the general spectrum of things, that this is an incredibly detail heavy, you know, doll. So, you know, before we wrap this up, we're going to take a moment to just kind of give our little hot take on the Pacific Coast dolls, which were dramatically revealed, you know, recently on Instagram. 7 characters, which were under the impression that's the full line, as far as we know. It's a lot of characters. It seems like the only returning existing character is Bella. I'm going to take a wild guess that this is going to somehow tie into her plot line for leaving and, you know, getting expelled and then coming back.
Have they really used any of like the dolls as a plot point beyond just like them randomly appearing?
Just the theme of the day.
The winter break line wasn't really too much of a plot line, was it? It was just an episode.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's Poppy wanting to experience a snow day.
Yeah. She deserves it.
She did.
Yeah, so there's 7 characters. It's like the biggest line so far.
Yeah, and we touched on it super briefly in the Slumber Party video, but we're gonna just dive a little deeper into like first impressions here. Which, you know, like, guys, these might be out like tomorrow. These literally might hit the shelves. So gonna try to make this like kind of concise.
Or like even like clearer pictures or individual like promo images of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So right now, I know there's leaks left and right. I think all of their names are known based on leaks. Don't quote me on that. There's at least one for sure. Inbox photos of her have already circulated. I think that was really what caused Rainbow High to be just like, all right, whatever. Like, we're just gonna put this up because, inbox photos were already circulating. There are a lot of warm tones present here. I think the main 2 that people were kind of taking issue with are the like kind of the beachy, sandy haired girl who has tan skin, and her name is Harper Dune based on the circulating images. And there's another girl who looks exactly like Skylar Bradshaw, but I don't believe it is Skylar. The rumor, it seems so, that there is at least one new face sculpt in this line. It looks like, from what I can see, larger lips, and the nose, I feel like, maybe
the eyes are different too.
The eyes seem different, yeah.
And we want to address the situation where people have pointed out that there are more than the current lineup of sculpts out there. If they look similar to each other, minus like slightly larger nose or whatever, you know, again, these are a sculpt printed from a mold. We're not gonna completely wipe off paints on our doll's face. If it looks like a similar old sculpt, then it's probably around the same one, if not the same one. So I know there's some people saying, oh, like this character is
Georgia has a unique sculpt and stuff like that. What you have to keep in mind too is that investments in brand new sculpts are heavy investments for companies. They cost like thousands of dollars or upwards or of like,
we don't know exact cost of them, but it's not something they completely like just willy-nilly make new ones, which maybe with technology nowadays that it's probably not gonna cost quite as much anymore. But I know in the past face sculpts cost a lot of money. You know, you have to consider that you're not just specifically paying for the head sculpt itself. You are paying for like the stencils to apply on these new sculpts. It's not just like they're just gonna be able to use any old screening on them. They have to modify a previous one, or again pay for a new stencil for the sculpt. So there's a lot of factors to it.
I'm excited for the boy. Just because I just want more boys in general. And it's interesting because I know it was very heavily speculated that there's going to be a pink boy in series 4. I don't know if this is that boy or if there's going to be another pink boy. I don't know for sure. Bella is cute, but my whole issue is like just beach lines in general, and also this line is rumored to be priced at, I think it was something like $31.99 or like $30 something. And they come with bags, towels.
Is that just the tub from the house?
No.
That's a totally different new tub.
That's a new tub. So that's the thing. I think this is going to come with a playset.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I think Pacific Coast may come with a playset. This character, she's really pretty, like the Opal, and that might even be her name. I think her name was floating around, like Opal something, I don't know. She looks simple, but really pretty. I love her hair color, but her just aesthetic and her hair reminds me a little bit of Avery.
That's a problem when your whole brand is based on colors, is you're gonna have a lot of very similar looking dolls, unless you change up the skin tone and make more changes.
But the issues people were having is that, we obviously discussed the blue girl looks exactly like Skylar. Harper Dune, to me, like, I'm sorry, that is either Georgia Bloom or, okay, I found out it's Marissa, not Marisa. Every Marissa that I've ever known of that had 2 S's, but yeah, so Marissa Golding. This to me looks like a Georgia Bloom with different hair, like literally. So it's very similar. So that's my main concern about this line, is that some of them look a bit simple and some of them look really similar to existing characters.
I mean, there's a million possibilities with color. You can change up their makeup, you can change up their eye colors, change up their skin. They should play around with more hair textures.
I think one of the most unique ones is the rainbow hair girl in the darker skin tone, who I believe has a unique sculpt. She looks really fun, and I like this variation of colors because we've seen rainbow and multicolored hair multiple times. This is a very unique combo. It's like sunset tones, kind of. So she looks very nice. We will definitely do our best to review these, of course, when they come out.
I heard they come with 2 pairs of feet.
Oh yeah, there's that whole thing that there were images circulating where someone reviewed Harper Dune. The video was not in English, so it wasn't like you weren't really able to completely confirm, but the person showed like another pair of feet that loosely implied that the dolls come with like a foot swap, and usually when that happens in dolls, that's when you have like the curved heel foot and the flat foot for flats, like for different types of shoes.
Which is interesting. They should just give them ankle articulation. Instead of just throwing a pair of legs.
The boys have it. All of MGA's boys, both OMGs and Rainbow High, the boys have ankle articulation.
I mean, Monster High also have ankle.
It's always it's like a male thing. It's just the boy. Even IT does it. Is that just like a standard?
That's true. I guess so.
The boy, I don't know. But that's pretty much our first impressions on the Pacific Coast dolls. Let us know what you guys think. And share your thoughts on collector dolls and everything we have discussed in today's video. Make sure to check out links in the description below. I will include our Rainbow High, Monster High, L.O.L surprise playlist if you want to see plenty of other reviews and discussions. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't. Let us know what you want to see next on our channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye.